Diamond views here are still hot. Join the Will County Black Diamond chapter of Top Ladies of Distinction for Season 2 of the Diamond View. This talk show series features dim black diamonds and professionals discussing topics like holiday planning, taking care of your mental health, budgeting, and more during the holidays. Human trafficking. We can all do our part to prevent trafficking. Love languages. Knowing yourself is the key to unlocking love. And healthy living. Spotlighting our health partners in Minority Health Month. Join us on Facebook Live or YouTube Live for the Diamond View at 6:30 p.m. The Diamond View starts now. This episode contains sensitive matters. We recommend parents and teens watch together. On tonight's episode, We Are Not for Sale. We invite you to join the conversation about the human trafficking epidemic in our communities with our special guest, Dr. Kisha Roberts-Tabb, human trafficking specialist and community psychologist. And now, with Diamond Topics are our hosts, Lady Dion A. Tate, Lady Tashar Brock, and Lady Moretta Smith. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Season 2 of the Diamond View. My name is Lady Moretta Smith, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Lady Tashar Brock and Lady Dion A. Tate, on behalf of the Will County Black Diamond chapter of Top Ladies of Distinction Incorporated, where our president is Lady Verlena Lane. We welcome you to Season 2 of the Diamond View. Top Ladies of Distinction is a humanitarian organization, and our motto is serving youth and adults. For those of you who are new to our show, the Diamond View is the brainchild of the Status of Women Thrust, and that is co-chaired by me and Lady Tashar. The Status of Women Thrust program focuses on health, wealth, safety, and life.
Thank you, Lady Moretta. Good evening, everyone. As you may or may not be aware, January is Human Trafficking Month, Awareness Month. And tonight we'll be covering this serious topic that we really need to talk about that is affecting our communities. We know this topic is heavy, and tonight's conversation may touch on some sensitive topics, but we encourage families to watch together. Everyone needs to hear this information that we have for you this evening. It's just awesome information. And we'll be sharing a lot of information tonight. So we encourage you to take a moment, go get that pen and that paper, take some screenshots, or do whatever you need to get this information. You don't want to miss it.
Good evening, everyone. So before we get into the show, we invite you to like the Will County Black Diamond chapter pages on Facebook and YouTube, so you can stay connected and continue to meet us on Facebook Live or YouTube for the Diamond View. So Lady Tashar just mentioned that pen and paper. Do you have your pen and paper ready? I want to give you some information before we get into this show. So the dates for this season's shows are as follows. So February 28th is our love language show. Now, you all know, if anybody watched last season, that love show was really, really good. So you want to tune in February 28th for the love language show. March 28th is our Top Teens of America takeover, the TTA takeover. We want to support our babies. We want to see them in our roles. speaking, being, being the host of the show, doing productions for the show. We are excited to see our top teams take over the Diamond View. And then on April 25th, so April is Minority Health Month, and we're going to have a virtual health fair. And we want to get this pertinent information out to you. So join us on those dates, February 28th, March 28th, and April 25th. And after each show, we want to hear from you. We want to know your thoughts, what you like, what we could improve on, things to help us out. So please make sure you take our survey at the end of every episode that we put out. Okay. The link will be pinned to the post and in the chat. Make sure you take the survey and leave your email address.
Indeed. So right now, let's get into our diamond topic. Across the nation, Top Ladies of Distinction and Top Teens of America has been using Human Trafficking Awareness Month to present all types of programming to bring awareness to human trafficking. A few weeks ago, we attended the Skyline Metropolitan Chapter's virtual short film screening and panel discussion, and Teen Aria presented her short film entitled Amber. We encourage you to take a look at that film and support our top teens. The link to view the film is in the chat. Across the nation, we're hearing these stories of human trafficking, but we also need to pay attention in our own backyard. So when people normally hear human trafficking, most people think about girls and sex trafficking, but human trafficking is so much more than that. It can be any race. Victims can be any gender, nationality, socioeconomic group, different backgrounds. It affects everyone, boys, girls, women, men. And also, it's not just sex trafficking, but labor trafficking as well. I don't think that people oftentimes think about that when they think about human trafficking. And Black women are affected by human trafficking at disproportionately higher rates. So tonight we're going to give you some facts, but we're also going to give you some information. So we encourage you to just engage with us, get in the chat, and we'd like to hear from you as we continue the show tonight.
So, Lady Moretta, wow, I just need to give our audience some very serious facts that were kind of, they kind of blew my mind when I actually read them. But so everyone, you wouldn't believe this. According to the UNICEF USA, human trafficking is one of the most underreported crimes, but it's also the second largest crime industry in the world. Can you believe that? It's like, how is this going unnoticed amongst us? The African American community is heavily impacted by this. And just some stats in the Chicagoland area, 16,000 to 25,000 women and girls are trafficked in Chicago annually. One more time, 16,000 to 25,000 women and girls just in our area alone, with 1/3 of them first getting trafficked by the age of 15. So we're talking about freshmen and sophomores in high schools that are being trafficked. And then 62% by 18 years old. And Chicago, unfortunately, ranks 3rd in the country for the highest levels of human trafficking. 70% of our survivors of trafficking suffer from PTSD. Wow, guys, we really need to get a hold of what's going on in our city, in our surrounding areas.
Absolutely. I think so many of us are in our little bubble that we don't take time to recognize these issues that are going on around us. But as I mentioned before, tonight is not just about the issue, but also about providing resources and, being able to take care of people when you see this happening. What do you do? Giving information about that as well. So these stats necessarily, they're astonishing, but I don't think they're surprising when we think about the fact that human trafficking is a $150 billion industry. $150 billion. And 99 billion of that is in sexual exploitation. It's crazy.
It really is.
Yeah, it is. And as long as trafficking remains profitable, difficult to detect, and hard to punish, traffickers will create new ways to exploit their victims, right? We know that. You just said, Lady Moretta, $150 billion industry. As long as they still have that money coming in, they're going to think of different ways to keep trying to pull people in. So just to give the audience some common methods used to traffic humans, right? It includes forms of deception. So like seduction and romance, dating services, we got all that stuff out there. False job advertisements. How many times do we all see work from home? Here's a job, let's work from home. We see that all the time, right?
Right.
Lies about educational and travel opportunities. If I can get you away from the people you love and that care about you, I can get you. This is what I'm seeing. Abduction, selling by family members will do this as well. And oftentimes now, human trafficking is looked at as modern day slavery. So recruitment through former slaves, people who have been recruited, they've been trafficked. They'll help the recruiters and bring them in because they know and they don't know anything different than that, right? So these are some different ways that you can kind of, this is how they traffic people. These are common methods that are used quite often to traffic.
Absolutely. And someone in the chat said dating apps are a big one. We're going to talk a lot about that tonight because as much as millennials and above maybe would like to think that social media doesn't rule the world, social media rules the world, especially when it comes to our teens and people who interact on social media, really, which can be everyone. That is a major factor nowadays. And so we're going to talk a lot about social media and the things that people are using on social media to really get and dig deep into human trafficking. One of the things that I do want to acknowledge is that Teen Madison, who you will meet later in the show, her school actually did a segment on human trafficking. They read a book called Sold. And so that was part of the impetus for her being on the show. We brought up the topic and she said, oh, we read this book in school and it was about a family who sold their daughter into slavery. So this is definitely something that's being covered in schools. And I'm glad to hear that. I was glad to hear that because teens do need to be aware that this can happen all around us. And it's not just in the US, but globally. And then the other thing, I was scrolling social media. And on the Shade Room, I saw a post by Tisha Campbell, who, for those of you who don't know, played Gina on Martin. And she was mentioning how she basically avoided a human trafficking incident recently. She was at a hotel and their Ubers and things like that weren't available in the area that she was in. So she asked the person working the front desk for a taxi number. She called the number, a van showed up. And so when the van showed up, she said that it looked a little sketchy, but then someone from the back seat opened the door. And when she looked in the van, there was no back seat. And she saw it was looking sketchy in the van. And so she ran back in the hotel. And when she asked the front desk person who was working at that time, she gave her the number. And that person said, I don't know why they gave you that number.
But Lady Moretta, think about that. Think about the average person may not even pay attention. How many times you see people jump in an Uber on the phone?
Not their Uber.
Yeah, not their Uber.
And that's what we get into. Before, when I was growing up, you would not you would not go on the internet and summons a stranger to you. But now that's basically what we do.
That's what we need everything, with food, rides, everything.
Check the license plate. I know it seems like overkill, but check the license plate. Look at the picture of your Uber driver. Make sure it's that person. And if you feel like something's not right, follow your instinct. Because if you have to apologize later, go ahead and apologize later if you're wrong. But if you're right, like she was, that could save your life. So we're going to talk about all of this tonight. People a lot of times ask, and even in the chat right now, people are saying, well, what can we do? Lady Dion, we want to talk about it from a first responder perspective. A lot of people, when they know someone is missing, they think, oh, I have to wait 24 hours. Like, what can I do if I'm concerned someone is missing?
Okay. So right now, everybody listening, for the city of Chicago, let's get this TV thing out of your head. Because every time we watch any kind of TV show with the police and somebody says, oh, I want to report a person missing, they always say, well, how long have they been missing? If they haven't been missing for 24 hours, you can't make a report. That is a false statement in the city of Chicago. If a person is missing for a minute, if you get frantic and upset and think that they're missing, you call 911 so that you can make a missing persons report. It is no waiting period. So I want everybody to know that and understand that, because oftentimes things happen, like your kids take out the garbage, right? And kids, and this, I have to speak from the time when I was growing up. I don't know if kids do this now, but if you take out the garbage and then you think, well, I'm going to go to the corner store, I won't be gone long. My parents won't even realize that I left. But some parents will be like, hey, wait, they just took out the garbage. They should be back. You go out there, you don't see them. You call 911 and you make a missing persons report, because time is of the essence, right? If you're waiting 24 hours, think about what could happen in that 24 hours. If they're missing 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however many minutes, you call 911 so that you can get the police department there to report this incident. Because that way you can give them information as soon as possible, what they're wearing, the last thing they were doing, height, weight, all that information, because the sooner that information can get out, the faster that we can try to locate people. So never wait 24 hours. There is no 24-hour waiting period. And I want everybody to know and understand that the minute that you think that there's something going on, or you think that someone is missing, and even for parents that live out of the state, they send their kids to Chicago for college, University of Chicago. If you think something's going on with that, you can also call. You can talk to officers over the phone and let them know, as well as in your own local jurisdiction. So it is very important to know there is no 24-hour waiting time, because as soon as this information gets out here, I think it helps first responders to really know, or to try to locate them as soon as possible.
Yeah, because when I'm watching Law and Order, they say that you need 24 hours.
No.
And so I think we get that stigma in our head, but it is good to get that, to clear up the misinformation. Do not wait, call 911. Okay.
Yes.
On January 11th, we recognize National Wear Blue Day to bring attention to human trafficking. And so tonight we'd like to share our video from our chapter. So take a look at that. You're watching The Diamond View. This commercial is brought to you by our Status of Women Thrust. Did you know each household in the U.S. is eligible to receive 4 free COVID tests? Visit covidtest.gov to sign up today. You can also receive 3 N95 masks per person at your local pharmacy or health department. Remember, we're all in this together. So tonight, without further ado, we have an amazing and quite dynamic speaker to hit this topic with us. We'd like to welcome to the show Dr. Kisha Roberts-Tabb. Dr. Kisha, welcome to the show. We are excited to have you here tonight.
Thank you for inviting me.
Let me introduce you to everyone. We've met, we've engaged. People have seen you present throughout the city, and we are really just excited to have you. So Dr. Kisha Roberts-Tabb is the founder and CEO of Social Butterfly Foundation and owner of Roberts-Tabb and Associates, LLC. She is a human trafficking, gender responsive, LGBTQ specialist for Cook County Juvenile Court. She is a community psychologist, professor, and author. Dr. Kisha has created and implemented programs and mandatory trainings to bring awareness to domestic human trafficking, and she has worked along several government agencies, including the Chicago Police, the Department of Human Services, the FBI. Her knowledge and passion has impacted servicers sitting before the Congressional Caucus, both in Washington, D.C. and Illinois, and many other organizations. What I'm saying to everyone tonight is that Dr. Kisha did not come to play. Dr. Kisha came to tell us the truth. And so tonight we welcome you. Dr. Kisha will be answering questions. So if you have questions as the show is going along, please drop them in the chat and we'll be able to pull some of those for you to answer. Right now, I am going to turn the floor over to you, Dr. Kisha.
Well, I am, as I've been presented, I am Dr. Kisha, and I literally started doing work within human trafficking 19 years ago. But like most people who work with youth, I did not know a name for what I was seeing. I didn't understand when girls were going missing or out of the home for months at a time, returning, the changes in their appearance. I did not recognize that as domestic sex trafficking because, like many of you, I got my education around sex trafficking on CSI, Law and Order, and shows like that. It wasn't until I really started to examine what was going on with these young ladies, what were they running from and who were they running to, that I was able to really recognize this as a trafficking situation. So today I would like to give you some tips on how to recognize victimization, but I also want us to pay special attention to what's going on social media, because due to the pandemic, we have seen an uptick in cases around trafficking. And I just want everyone to be prepared alike, both parents and children.
Thank you, Dr. Kisha. We're going to get you ready for your presentation.
So I'll be talking to you about domestic sex trafficking and pitfalls of social media. You can go ahead to the next step. The next slide. Next slide. So human trafficking comes in two forms, sex and labor. Sex trafficking is in which a sex act is induced by force, fraud, or coercion, or in which a person induced to perform such an act has not obtained 18 years of age. Now, I want to go back to the force, fraud, or coercion because that's important. Oftentimes, we do not understand what this means, force, fraud, and coercion. Force is the threat of force, not just physical force. When we think of force, we think of kidnapping, the white van syndrome. That is not always the case, although it can happen. Force can be the threat of force, the threat against family members, the threat against the safety of anyone in your home, the threat of gang, inducing someone into gang membership. Fraud is presenting a situation that is not the correct presentation. So we talked about jobs. We see that a lot. Fraud trafficking by way of fraud with a lot of job opportunities. Coercion. Coercion is the number one pathway that we see most victims enter into a trafficking situation or be induced. I don't want to say enter because that causes blame. Induced into a trafficking situation. Now, whether you walked freely, you chose to, you did it yourself, you knew what was going on. If you have not obtained 18 years of age, you cannot consent to sell sex. That gets tricky in Illinois because the consent law says that you can have sex at the age of 17. However, you cannot consent to sell sex until you have reached your 18th birthday. So moving on to labor. Labor is the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining a person for labor or service through the use of force, fraud, coercion for the purpose of subjection to involuntary servitude, peonage, debt bondage, or slavery. Now, in this work, I have seen 3 legal industries where both sex and labor intersect. Those industries are exotic strip clubs, massage parlors, and pornography. And because we see that intersection so much, you can go to the next slide. We have come up with a new definition of sex trafficking, which combines the two. It is defined as the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, obtaining a person for the purpose of a commercial sex act. Now, a commercial sex act is defined as the sex act on account of which anything of value to or received by any person. Nowhere in this definition of commercial sex act does it say you have to exchange money for sex. It's anything of value. So when we think about our value systems, most young people are trading sex for basic needs like food, like shelter, like clothing, like love, like safety. So I don't want us to get confused that if money is not being exchanged, it is not a trafficking situation. Anything of value. Go to the next one. Now, this is where we get to the meat and potatoes of this whole thing. The grooming process. The grooming process is the process in which a person is prepared for exploitation. Now, I don't know about you, but that's disturbing to me that there is a set process to prepare a person for sexual exploitation, which says two things to me: that we have to be careful how we interact with individuals because it is a process. And we can stop this anywhere in the process if we have the information. So the first step in the grooming process is targeting a victim. In this portion of the grooming process is where traffickers, pimps, and abusers look for noticeable vulnerabilities. Those look like emotional vulnerabilities, neediness, low confidence, self esteem, either way, high or low. Because oftentimes we see that young lady posting on social media a lot of pictures. She looked very confident, but she's posting in order to be validated, which says that her self esteem is not as high as she portrayed it to be. And that is what traffickers look for. Economic stress. We can notice economic stress just by the pictures, our surrounding pictures on any social media platform. So you've heard me say social media 3 times in this particular slide because the grooming process I have learned in probably the last 3 or 4 years is really taking place on social media because you can notice every vulnerability that I previously stated right on any social media account. Also, you can gain information and trust. I call this the data collection portion of the grooming process because this is when they are really extracting information from you. They're getting data around who you live with, what time you can talk on the phone. They're creating a timeline in which I can get you out of the house. I can extract you from people around you. This is done through casual conversation. We're just talking. We're talking in the IMs, the DMs, the messengers. We're talking on Snapchat. We're texting back and forth. And so through these conversations, I'm gaining information about you. I'm gaining information about the people around you. I'm going through your social media accounts and I'm looking at what you like. What are you posting? So this gives me conversation. This gives me something to talk to you about. So if you are a young lady or a young man and someone knows so much about you, you're like, oh my God, he must be heaven sent. No, they have really, really dug into this gaining information and trust section. So now,
Dr. Kisha, I'm sorry, quick question for you.
Yeah.
So is it that the people, do you think it's like people that are their own age, their peers, or is it like catfishing, so to speak, where it's someone hiding behind an image per se to kind of lure them in?
Okay, so it can be both.
Okay.
I've seen it happen both ways. I've seen individuals be trafficked by boyfriends or friends that are similar to their age. But what we often see more is older people that portray to be younger. They talk about knowing, oh, I went to this school. They don't always portray themselves as the age of the person that they're trying to solicit, but they do probably pose themselves a few years older so that they can still have something in common to talk about.
Wow. Okay.
So, Dr. Kisha, I have just from a parental perspective.
Mhm.
So I have 4 children, but they're all adults now. But when they were younger and they were in high school and everything, because the internet was not, in my generation, the internet and social media was not a big thing. So when my kids were younger and in high school and growing up and all in this social media world, I'm asking, would you recommend? Because this is what I did. I created fake accounts. I followed my kids. And when they discovered it was me, I would create another one. And so I think just from a parental perspective, I think parents should just be, because social media is such a big thing now. Like, I recommend all parents create the fake accounts, follow the kids, watch what's going on their page, what they're posting, who they're associating with. So would you recommend that for parents?
Yes, I would recommend that, but I also would recommend being transparent as well and joining that first and requesting that friend, because we think that our children really want to hide a lot from us. But it's been my experience, both as a community psychologist and my role in juvenile probation, that most kids want structure. And so the presence of a parent would stop a lot of stuff going on social media that they would not be necessarily comfortable with their parents seeing. But if you think that they're not going to accept you, absolutely, I would create a Finsta account. But if you think that you have that relationship, go ahead.
Back up. What's a Finsta account? Share it for the people.
So a Finsta account is a fake social media account. It's an account where you have you create a fake name. You may use a fake picture. You may not have your face on there, and some people do. I came across my daughter Finsta just with the people you should know. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I do know her. Like, so yes, I would do whatever I needed to do to protect mine. And that's just the reality, because we are living in a world that we are inviting individuals into our home just sitting at a desk. All of our work, we went to shelter in place. We were learning in place. We were communicating in place. We were doing pro-social programs in place, not knowing that we were also inviting predators into that space. So whatever we have to do to protect us, we have to do so. So I'm with all of it, to be honest with you. I'm with all of it.
And I want to ask you something, because some of the comments in the chat are saying, yes, we need to help these young girls and things like that. But I want to look at it from a different perspective. Is it just young girls is my first question. And then what are you seeing versus like the things, like when we think human trafficking, we think stereotypical, like someone's out on the street because they have a basic need. What about the children who have everything?
Yes.
What are you seeing in terms of human trafficking with them and predators?
I have seen both. I have seen both individuals who are feeling a need because they don't have their basic needs met. Then we have those individuals who have everything and they want street cred. And so they get themselves involved with other people, with people outside of their normal, social group, outside of those pro-social program that most parents think that they're doing a great job outside of the church. They find that person that can take them to the street to get that street cred. And so validation, I say this all the time, and this really goes into the next phase of the grooming process. Validation, wanting to be loved, wanting to be accepted, having a sense of belonging is serious. It is, to me, it is probably more serious than anything that we experienced as children, because we didn't have everything displayed all the time. And so what our children see, they think is real. We know that everything that glitter ain't gold, but our children don't actually understand that. And so that is where it was perfect, Lady Moretta, because the next phase of the grooming process is filling a need. So whatever that need look like, that need is not always a financial need. And so you'll see that there are four different areas in which this need is being filled. You have the promise of legitimate work. And that could be a professional photo shoot, videos, careers, massage therapy, even traveling sales jobs. When we think about a traveling sales job, I think Lady
Dion,
I think you talked about that. When you take someone out of their comfort zone, you are responsible for feeding. You are responsible for the travel. You are responsible for the housing. This is going on in a motel or hotel setting. It is perfect for trafficking, but we don't see it from that lens. And so then you have this idea of, like you were saying, Lady Moretta, I don't need a basic need met. I have everything I need, but I want a promising, loving relationship. I want a man. I want a girlfriend. I want somebody that I can call man. I want a boo. I want all this, And so even with the sneaky links, and the kids know exactly what I'm talking about. Even in that situation, you want to be validated. You want to be loved. You want someone to tell you look good. You want someone to tell you how pretty, how smart, and all of these things. And so this is, when I talk about coercion being the number one pathway, it's right here at this stage. Absolutely. That promising of a loving relationship, whether that's done by an older, intimate partner, whether it's done by someone in your family. Lady Dion, I know everyone was shocked when you heard, oh, families sell children. They sell children, they pimp children, they exploit children, they do all of those things. Because if I'm not getting what I want, what I need, I'm going to go where I can get it.
All right, so wait, Lady Kisha,
Yeah, we gotta
right.
tell you that
You have to explain
The
sneaky
sneaky
link.
link.
The chat is like
we
popping,
just
like
had this
sneaky what?
conversation
Like,
about what that is.
Because if you have to call it a sneaky link already,
It's wrong.
you know,
It's wrong.
already
You
it's
know it's wrong. So the sneaky link is the sad chick, the sad guy. It's the one that no one really knows about. And so we don't really now. If anyone has ever heard me speak, even I don't really speak about this a lot. And so, but when you think about the sneaky link, it's a secret.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what better way to exploit someone than the person that's a secret? No one knows we have this relationship. No one knows that you're sneaking out meeting me, not even your closest friends. So when I say a sneaky link, I mean a real sneaky link. And so when we link up, it's a secret. So I can get you out of your home. No one's going to know where you are. No one's accountable. You're not accountable to any other person but myself. I'm creating this situation where it's me and you. We got this bond because we behind this secret. And so we don't talk enough about the secret, the sneaky link when we talk about trafficking. We talk about older partners, but we don't talk about the ones that's keeping you a secret. You're a secret for a reason.
Someone in the chat asked if that's the same as the bottom chick. I thought the bottom chick was just
no. That's not
right?
No, that's definitely not the same as the bottom chick, and we're gonna get into that when we get into that slide.
Okay.
Right.
So that's coming up. So stay tuned for whoever asks that question.
Yeah, I definitely will get into that. I will get into some of that language. Then you have this idea of buying gifts. How do you know? Oh, wait. I want to go back to family, friendships, that sense of belonging, and greater gang membership. Being involved in the gang, I want you guys to imagine being exploited by one person, pimped by one person, abused by one person. But think about living in a neighborhood where the gangs are so rampant in your neighborhood. You can't go to the corner store. You can't walk to school without being in contact with one of your traffickers. So gang membership and trafficking is really exploding because gangs were working with drugs, right? I've been a probation officer for 19 years. I haven't had a drug case. We were just talking about this today, probably in the last 10 years, because that's not what people are selling. They're selling people. Because if you buy some drugs, you buy that, you pack that up, you sell that, you need money to repurchase that. But when you buy a girl, you just clean her up one time, you pay some pictures, and you sell that girl over and over and over again. And so the money in trafficking is far greater than the money in drugs.
That's crazy.
That's very crazy.
I mean, it is what it is, but it's crazy.
But I do want to say that because I want to put it in perspective, because money drives everything. Mm-hmm. And when you think about how lucrative this industry is, we know we definitely have to be aware, and we have to be able to protect each other, not just our children, but all children. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna move from this slide really fast. Buying of gifts. How do you know what to buy? You base it on what you've seen them like on Facebook. Then the introduction of alcohol and soft drugs. We don't pay enough attention to marijuana, pills, and lean because you don't see people as addicted to these drugs. However, they are drugs that lower your inhibitions. They cause you to do things that you would not normally be comfortable doing if you were not using that particular substance.
Dr. Kisha, we had a question in the chat from one of the parents. How do you combat that? For the teen that needs that extra assurance, what can they do?
Parents have to tell them that. People in their family have to tell them that. They have to evoke that black girl magic, that black boy magic. You have to be able to create queens and kings within your own living room. You tell them when they do great. You stop long enough to know what's going on with them and validate that. You start talking to them about their strengths. You start making their strengths greater than their weaknesses. That's how we combat that.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
So social media as an entry point. For the sake of time, I just want to pull a few out of each one of them, if that's okay with you guys.
That's fine.
On Facebook, I had a young lady that I was interviewing, and I was assessing hers before I passed her to the next level of law enforcement, and I could not get any information from her because the only thing she had was a Facebook name, and she said they only talk through Messenger. So you don't even have to have a phone anymore. You just have to get around somewhere that has some Wi-Fi and you can talk to whoever on Facebook. You never have to know their name, their age, or anything. You can be, I call Facebook the land of make-believe, because you can be anybody you want to be on Facebook. Same thing goes for Instagram. However, Instagram put a little spice on it. When Instagram came around as a tool for advertising. So when you think about recruiting and selling, it's the perfect place because you can put payment methods on Instagram, such as PayPal, which is what I saw. I saw a young lady that had a PayPal account attached to her Instagram. I'm like, well, what are you selling? What is the PayPal? And then under it said for booking information with a number. I'm pretty nosy. Most people that know me know I'm going to look, I'm going to research. So I called the number and it was a promoter for a club. Red flag. Everything went up. Everything in me went up. All the alarms went off because this is a 16. I think she was 16 at the time. Why would she need a club? Why would she even be knowing anyone in this club? She's not selling anything. And what is she being booked for? So that was a red flag for me. Now let's go to Snapchat. Snapchat is the devil when it comes to trafficking because most people think they can put things on Snapchat and it will disappear. But I'm here to tell you, every branch of law enforcement has whole units that is scraping Snapchat. They are finding out what's going on. So this is for both our young women and our young men. With Snapchat, all the snaps, it takes all your surroundings, right? So you're a young man. So I'm talking to the young men. Be aware where you're going. You show up at a party, a kickback, you think you're just going to hang with your friends. However, there's a girl there, one or two. It's 15 boys. You're not aware that these girls are being trafficked. They're being held. They're being forced to be here. So you partake in all of this. They got you on Snapchat. I cannot tell you how many cases where innocent people are being railroaded because they came up in a frame in a Snapchat. So be very careful around with your surroundings.
Someone asked in the chat, with gang selling girls, do you think that is linked to the increase in young girls and adult women being victims of gun violence or being gunned down?
Maybe, but what I do know, what I can say is it's linked to guns because it's linked to gun violence, not so much because girls are being shot, but because everybody is being shot. And every time you turn on the news, all they talk about is gun violence. So if I am someone that's selling girls, I'm going to bring them to a place like Chicago where every moment of the day we're talking about gun violence. So the best way to hide a girl is in a place where they only looking for guns.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
So the last thing about Snapchat is this locator feature. It is equipped with a locator feature. As soon as you download Snapchat, anybody that you are friends with that you're snapping with have your location. So be aware turning off that location because that creates an avenue for both abduction and exploitation. So we're going to talk about some emojis. I don't know about you guys, but about a month ago, Facebook came under fire around emojis and advertising on Facebook. And so I know people were probably asking, well, how is this going on without you knowing it is trafficking? Because they are using emojis. And so emojis come in different forms. I have them listed here, body part and activity. So you have the peach, which is a female. That is the indication of a female. You have the eggplant, indication of a male. You have the donut, which is an indication of your behind. Then you have activities. The donut can be both a body part and an activity. The tongue is a symbol of oral. The raindrops, sex, and the donut rear entry. So we're going to go past this and go into some code wording. So on ads on social media or dating sites, you may see ads that say things like new in town, which means underage. We see that a lot. New in town. I'm new in town. I'm only in your town for a few days. That would be young. So I want to talk about the difference between underage and young. On the streets, everybody is 20. I don't know what it is when I do street outreach, everyone's 20. You look 12, but when I ask you 20. And so underage is just that, younger people. But remember, I talked to you guys about the age of consent, which is 17, which is what traps a lot of people because they think that because you're 17 and you can consent to sex, you can also consent to sell sex. And we know that's not true from previous slides. So that underage is that emerging adult, 17 till about 20. Date is a commercial sex exchange. anything where someone is advertising a man, my man is gone, my man is out of town, my man not here, I don't have a man, I'm looking for a man, that's usually a pimp. So when we talk about prostitution previously in our days, when people talked about prostitution or commercial sex trade, they would talk about it and they would use words like life, the game. You guys familiar with that? However, when I see young people talk about it, I hear field, I hear hustling, I hear I'm in my bag. So all of those things let me know that what I'm reading is a underage or a younger person and not someone that's seasoned in this game. You can go to the next slide. So if I can have my two teens to come on right now, because I would like to have a conversation with them around social media.
Absolutely. Would you like a parent too, or just the teen?
Yes.
So at this time, we're actually going to see what this looks like on social media. We're going to invite our special guest to the show. We have Lady Beverly this evening. She is our chapter's assistant recording secretary. We have her daughter, Teen Madison. And Teen Madison is the Area 3 TT historian. And then we also have Teen Noah, our chapter's TTA second vice president. We're going to go through some examples of posts at this time. So welcome to the show, everybody.
Thank you. So my teens, I want us to start decoding some of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand my badge over to the two of you, right? You're going to have to split it because I just have one. But tonight, you are the trafficking specialist for the next few minutes, okay? And I want you guys to work this case with me. And so the first ad, I got this ad off of social media. It says the Black Girl Magic. I do want to explain the two lines. The two lines is an indication of eyes. New in town, hit my line, the tongue, $2 signs, the raindrops, $3 signs. So which one of you guys would like to decode this ad for me?
I'll do it.
Okay, let's go. So who are they describing?
Let's see. They're describing a younger girl.
And what nationality is this young lady?
African American.
And can you tell any specific features about this young lady?
We can tell that she's young, and that's about it.
What about her eyes? So the slanted eyes. So she's a Black girl with slanted eyes, right? She has Asian features. She's new in town and she would like you to hit her line. What does new in town indicate?
It usually means either underage. It usually means underage or young.
Yes, absolutely. She's asking you to hit her line. So that would be an indication that she takes her calls how?
Usually just calling her.
On her cell phone. You're going to take my job in about 20 minutes. I'm thinking you're going
to
get
it. That's my
20 minutes.
I'm like, go,
okay. Go, Minty.
She has hit my line. She has a emoji of a tongue with $2 signs, which means that she offers what service?
Oral.
Yes. She also has raindrops with $3 signs, would be an indication of what?
Usually normal normal sex, but for more than what her normal oral sex would be.
Wow.
Can we please give him a round? Like,
wow.
If I was ever to hire, you are the first person on my list. Teen Madison. I'm gonna take you down to the fourth ad, okay? So we have this fourth ad. It says there are 3 banks and you have a peach, hit my, and just to let you know, for the people in the audience, this is a WhatsApp account, okay? So Teen Madison, what is the first indication from this particular ad that you can assume?
That someone's willing to pay for sex.
Yes. So if you have Bank of America, Chase, and PNC. How does this particular person that's advertising take payments?
Through like a PayPal account.
Or electronic account. Good job, Teen Madison. And you want what would be the peach? What are they looking for?
A female.
A female. And how do she take her calls?
Online, like on the phone.
On what kind of app?
WhatsApp.
on WhatsApp. Good job, Team Madison. Can we give her a round of applause?
Dr. Kisha,
Yes.
I am just sitting over here as a parent and an educator, like in awe, because this information is awesome, first of all, but it's just, I would have never
And
put,
I'm glad you spoke, Lady Beverly, because as a parent, as an educator, I want you to decode the very last ad for me. Thank you so much for volunteering.
let me just tell you, when I first look at it, I'm hungry. That's what I say. I'm hungry, but I know that's not right. So,
No.
okay.
So you have a peach.
Okay.
Now this is new, so you got to pay attention. You have a
Okay.
peach. It says line dry. There's a donut available. Hit my line. So who's advertising?
A woman?
Yes, a female. We don't know if she's a young girl or
Okay.
we know she's a
a
female. So her line is dry. Can you guess? Because I did not tell you this, but what would be your educated guess on what this is saying? Line dry.
It's probably been a while. There hasn't been any raindrops lately in her life.
So unfortunately,
Oh,
Madison, can you guess what that would be? Line dry. What does that mean when you say your line is dry?
Like she hasn't had sex in a while.
So
Or somebody hasn't contacted her.
Contact.
okay.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yes.
My baby got my back.
My line is dry is an indication that I'm available because no one's calling me. So my line is dry. I'm available. What is the donut saying? So we're going to say this in a sentence. Female, I'm available. What is the next thing that they're saying?
That was the donut was that the rear entry?
Rear entry what?
Help me out, teens.
It said. What's the next word? Rear entry
sex?
It's available.
Available.
So
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm available. Rear entry is available. And how would this young lady take her calls?
Cell phone.
Yes, absolutely. Can we give all three of them a round of applause? You guys did a great job. And these are the type of ads that I am decoding on a daily basis when I get an assessment, because most of my clients who range from the age of 12 to 18, sometimes up to 21, this is how they advertise. They're not advertising so much on these sites, although they do. Most of them advertise in plain sight because they understand that we have no idea what they're talking about. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. This was a great opportunity for you to see how this works. And if any one of you guys want a job in human trafficking work, please give me a call. I do take volunteers too.
So thank you, Dr. Kisha. Thank you to our guests. You guys did an awesome job. Dr. Kisha, in the chat, someone wanted to know if you could explain more about the location features on TikTok and how to get around that.
Yes. So if we can go to, I want to say the next one about the sites. Yes.
Sure.
So on TikTok, while she's moving, I want to talk about some precautions. You guys are like, really, you would think I paid them, but I did not. This is just flowing like this. I promise I have not paid anyone. So when we talk about location features on social media account, all of them have location features, but on Snapchat, as soon as you download that app, it automatically turns on that location feature. So my precaution to you is to check all social media accounts in your settings and turn off all locators on your phones. If you don't have social media and you have a locator on your phone, disarm your locator through your settings on your phone. However, we do want someone to be accountable, right? And so I ask you all to create an accountability partner, someone that you actually trust and you know have your best interests. Now, I don't want to sound like the mama in the room, but I'm the mama in the room, right? And so you cannot share it's not beneficial to be an accountability partner with somebody that's scared to tell if you get in trouble. Now I know we all with the whole no snitching and all of that, but if you my girl and I go missing, you better go tell somebody. And so having that feature on your phone, you need to have someone that you trust and you know they bout it about your safety. Make sure that they gonna tell if they need to.
That's true. I will say this: when I was younger, someone close to me accidentally fell asleep at a boy's house. And I almost got a whooping because they thought that I was hiding and lying about it. And I didn't know. I really didn't know where she was. But I almost got a whooping because they said, I know you two have a safety plan. You have to know. And it was the one time that I didn't know.
So I was the bad friend, Lady Moretta. I didn't tell. I did not tell. I kept it a secret, but what I did do, I called somebody else and said, you better go over there and tell her to go home because my daddy knows she's not home. And however, we got to get out of that. We're living in the times where that's not healthy right now. So if you don't have, I want my girls to be down for me. If you know something going on with me, Lady Tasha, you tell somebody, okay? Make sure you let them know that I'm in danger.
And we talked about this last year on our dating episode. We had a single lady come on and she was talking about things that she does, just as a protection for herself. And one of those things is when she goes on a date, somebody knows who she's with.
Yeah.
They might have a license plate. They might have run some numbers or whatever, but somebody knows who she's with and presumably where she's going.
Yes.
Even as a grown adult.
And look, Lady Moretta, I'm good and grown, and I still let somebody know where I'm going, just in case.
Absolutely. I still call when I get in the house and my front door is locked.
As you should. And I think that's the one thing that our teens and our young people don't get. They kind of think that the parents are being overprotective. You just want to know, you're being nosy.
Nope.
It's all about protecting you and making sure that you're safe. So this is great information about sharing your location and where you are and what you're doing.
I'm 37. If I can let somebody know where I'm at, surely y'all can too.
I share my settings with my sisters. We share our settings with each other because if something happened, we want to make sure that we can. This is where they're supposed to be. If they didn't show up, I'm calling the police. I'm the world's greatest trick. I'm calling the police. If I know that you didn't make it, I'm calling, and I'm not waiting 24 hours, Lady Dion. I am calling.
Right.
No, right.
The next thing is be aware of your surroundings. Pay attention of cars or bikes or something that frequent the area in which you are always in. If you're constantly seeing someone, they might be following you, and you want to make sure that you take good information down, taking down license plates, taking down the color of the car. If you can take down features of the driver, things of that nature. Do not stop for this is really important for everyone that's listening. Do not stop for individuals appearing to be hurt. Do not do that. For one thing, if you're not a doctor or paramedic, you can't help them anyway. So the best thing to do is to contact the authorities, take good information around where they can go, and you keep it moving and pray that everything works out. The next thing is not being so predictable around your routes. Take different routes sometimes so that someone cannot predict when you're going to be there and when you're going to show up. For my teens, do not. I repeat, for the person in the back, do not put every move on social media. It's dangerous. No one needs to know your every movement every day.
Not just the teens, the adults too.
Right.
I would hope that the adults know better, but
ma'am.
No.
We're going to keep it moving, Lady Moretta.
Okay. But I'm just saying for the adults too. I'm saying.
You saying without saying, I feel you.
No, I'm saying.
We talked about this so we can move on because Lady Dion did a great job of explaining this. So dating sites. We talked about some things around dating sites. These are sites to stay away from. Adults and children alike. Plenty of Fish, Tinder, OkCupid, Babylon, Scarlet Web, Adult Friend Finders, Mega Personal, Skip the Game, and List Crawler. List Crawler have become the #1 site, and then Skip the Game for trafficking. So be aware of all of these sites.
Dr. Kisha, I think you hurting some grown folks' feelings right now listening to these dating sites they shouldn't be on.
It's a lot of the adults are saying that their friends are out here checking in wherever they go.
Right.
Well, please stop. And these sites, I can't tell adults what to do. But these sites, I'm telling you from a professional standpoint, these are sites that come up in investigations all the time. They come up in assessments. We find girls on these sites. We find ads on this site that elicit people, and they trick them and coerce them into exploitation. So if you can, go to the grocery store and look for somebody. Stay off these sites.
Not the grocery store.
Right. Hey, they cook if they go to the grocery store. Hey.
So we're gonna go ahead with the questions, and then all of the information, any contact information. I do want to address the whole bottom part, right? And so what a bottom is it is not a person that's not someone that they're dating. That is the person next in line. I want to be clear that most bottoms were once a victim, and so we have to be very careful the way that we handle people, period. Some people have ill will, but some people are surviving. Does not make it right, but the bottom was always once a victim. They worked their way up through that organization, that ring, and now they're training, they're advertising, they're buying the and they're still in the victimization mode, because if anything ever happens and they get caught, they're going to jail because their name is on everything. They're booking the rooms, the sites are in their name, the cell phones are in their name. So the bottom is the person that, and we know what goes afterwards. We're going to stay PG, but the bottom is the person that is also a trafficker. The difference is they were once his victim.
Mm.
Oh, wow.
And on that note, you had the chat going up with the grocery store comment.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I know for sure that one of our ladies met her husband in the grocery store, and they've been married for about 25 years. So, I mean,
I met my husband at the YMCA.
Okay. So the grocery store.
Get your exercise on.
All right, Dr. Kisha, thank you. We're going to give you some resources at this point in the show. So get ready to screenshot or jot down this information. There will be some hotlines available, and also additional resources and Dr. Kisha's contact information. So hang tight. Get ready to screenshot this information, okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's episode has been quite informative, eye-opening. It's not over yet. We're going to say our thank yous, but then after that, Dr. Kisha has a breathing exercise for us so that we can decompress, because as light as we've tried to make this evening, this topic is very heavy and it can be triggering. So we want to go through a breathing exercise and leave us all on a high note. Dr. Kisha, thank you. You are a dynamo, passionate about what you do, and that just comes through every time we hear you speak. We pick up something different every time we hear you, and we are just pleased and so thankful and grateful that you were able to come on and share with us tonight. Do you have any parting words for the people?
Yes, first I want to thank you guys, because although this is something that is trending in our community, we don't talk enough about it in our community. And so I just want to applaud you guys. Not only are you talking about it, but you know what you're talking about. You started the show off with some facts that, like I would hire you too. Like y'all know exactly what's going on. My parting words is, when you see something, say something.
Mm-hmm.
We see it going on all the time. We see that young lady that's with that older guy. We know it look wrong. It feel wrong. Everything in us is starting to, react, but we don't say anything. And we don't always have to say anything. We don't have to be the hero, but we can make some phone calls. We can use those trafficking hotlines. I monitor the Help Her Care line. It's a 24-hour line, and I answer. If you call, I answer. It has a texting feature. But please, please do not allow our children to be trafficked, exploited, and gone missing right in front of our face because we are scared to speak up. No one's going to come and save us.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be the heroes in this, the heroes in this situation. So when we see something that we know don't look right, say something. It is your responsibility to protect our children.
Thank you, Dr. Kisha. Next, I want to say thank you to the ladies of the Status of Women Thrust, my co-hosts tonight, Lady Tashar, Lady Dion, double thank yous. The three of us are doing double duties on the control as well as hosting tonight. In the chat, we have Lady Maria backstage, and also to all of our Will County Black Diamond sisters in the chat. Thank you so much. And to our thrust, thank you for all the preparation that goes into planning these shows and the research that goes into these shows. We don't take it lightly that this is the way that we've chosen to deliver information during the pandemic. And so we thank you, because we spend a lot of time and care on the episode. So thank you, Status of Women. I'd also like to thank my brother, Joseph Smith, the second of Graymore Photography, for some of our audio visuals. Thank you, brother. You know what you did. I love you. Thank you. Lady Tashar, do you have any closing remarks?
All I can say is this was phenomenal. We all have to take a part in this stance to protect our children, as Dr. Kisha said. Regardless if we're parents, godparents, aunties, friends, it is our responsibility to take back our children. We can't keep sweeping things under the rug. And I thank you, Dr. Kisha, because this gave me awareness on 150% that I would have never had before. So it's sisters like you that are out here on the pavement, meeting these people where they're at. And thank you for the gifts and talents that you have, that you shared with us. You have truly blessed us, and you've helped some parents on this call tonight to open their mindset about what's going on and what's going on with our children. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Lady Zion?
Dr. Kisha, yeah, you hit a grand slam tonight. Like all the information you provided was wonderful and awesome. And me as a parent, and to the other parents, create the fake accounts, have the conversations, talk to your kids, follow them on social media, because social media is the devil. It really is. And it's a playground for the traffickers to get in and get to our babies. And we love our babies and we want to protect them and keep them safe. So create the fake accounts, have the conversations, monitor the things that they do. But tonight's show was phenomenal. Dr. Kisha, you gave us some great nuggets. And I thank you so very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you. Again, thank you, Dr. Kisha, for drawing us all out of our bubble in terms of what we may see on our social media, because our social media doesn't look like our teenager social media. So even as people who maybe don't have kids but are charged with being a role model to children, be listening, be open to having those conversations with them, to let them know that this is out here. We want to say thank you to Lady Beverly. Thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you to Teen Madison, and thank you to Teen Noah. And right now, we're going to have Dr. Kisha lead us through a breathing exercise.
So I know that the information that I have released today can be triggering to some people. Even if it is not something that you have personally experienced, some of us as providers are thinking about some people that we've had contact with, and we're saying, oh my God, I missed that. And that's okay. You did not know. Now that you know, you won't be missing it again. But if this has triggered anything in any one of us, I want us to go through a very quick breathing exercise. 3 breaths in, 3 breaths out. That's all I want. If we can close our eyes, I want us to, as we take this deep breath in, I want us to forgive anything that we may have missed because we did not know. We want to take that right in right now in a big, big breath. Just breathe in. And as we blow that out, I want us to blow out positivity. I want us to understand that now we are aware. Now that we are capable, we can identify these things and we can eradicate this problem. Please blow that breath out. As we breathe in our second breath, I want us to think about how we can be agents of change in our own community. And so as we take that breath in, I want us to take the responsibility back, take our children back. And when we blow that breath out, I want us to blow out fear. I want us to blow out shame. I want us to blow out guilt. If you can release that breath right now. And our last breath, I want us to take in the fact that we are awesome, we are empowered, we are great. We have Black girl magic, we have Black boy bosses, and we have everything that we need in our community to make sure that we are able to thrive. Take the biggest breath that you can in. And as you blow that out, I want you to blow out any negative words that's been spoken, not only over you, but anyone you know. I want you to blow out anything that has stopped you from doing what you know you should be doing in your community. And I want you to blow out the idea that this is not a us problem, because it is. And I want you to blow out the biggest breath that you can. And I want you to make a declaration, not only to yourself, but to each other, that when you see something, you will say something. Thank you so much, guys, for participating in our breathing exercise, and thank you for staying on with me. I know we've talked about a lot of things, but you are equipped to do everything that you need to do in your community as of now.
Thank you, Dr. Kisha. And ladies and gentlemen, until next time, keep shining.
Keep shining.